Hey everybody, Tactic Angel here. We're back on the World of Tanks on the PlayStation 4. We've got a little bit of an exploration of Tier 5 medium tanks in the German line today. We're talking about the Panzer V4, the Panzer IV off H. Panzer, and the Panzer IV Hydrostat. All these tanks have essentially the same gun on them, the 7.5 centimeter KWK 40L48. Pretty reliable Tier 5 gun. They all appear to have the same turret, even though in the game terms I think they're all a little bit different. And they have drastically different play styles. This is the Panzer V4, the infamous Ram Panzer, because it weighs way more than any Tier 5 medium tank deserves to weigh. Based on the Panther chassis with a Panzer IV turret. Here you see I am going up to the hill, because if you don't win the hill, you're probably not going to win at all. This is really probably not a really good use of your time in an average game, because really what you want to do is make sure you get to the top of the hill in this. The north has a huge advantage, I found. That's probably why I don't really love this game. This is the only time that I really take advantage of what the Ram Panzer is good at, which is, I mean, obviously ramming. But thankfully, because we rammed that guy, he has left us a little bit of cover. We have, in this tank, as you can see, a ridiculous amount of hit points. 870. 870 on a medium tank? You've got to be kidding me. This tank is ridiculous. It's just flat out ridiculous. You could reduce its hit points by 300. It would still be well worth buying. And here we see, like, it doesn't really suffer in terms of its gun. The only reason why maybe you wouldn't want to use its gun is just because it's so much more fun to run into people and to play this tank just like a complete jerk. Here we see this tank doesn't have great view range, and it actually doesn't have great gun depression either. But I mean, look at this. I'm just pushing this corpse around. I'm hoping this helps protect my lower plate. Actually, the weakest part of this tank is the turret, so they're pretty much going to be able to put shells through me whether or not I move up there. That bow-getter is just a little bit too far beneath that crest for me to reliably hit it. Now he's behind this other guy. I don't think that I'm going to be able to get around this corpse without giving myself up, so I actually spend a lot of time back here using this tank. It's really known for ramming, and probably most fun when you're just bombing around like a jerk. Still has good accuracy, which honestly is pretty unfair. I would describe this tank as pretty unfair in general, and if you've been playing anything Tier 3 and up, you probably have run across the occasional Panzer V4 platoon, which is just, yeah. Anywho, we clearly won that battle up there for the windmill. Congratulations to us. We are coming down here. Gonna get in some cover because as decent as the armor on the tank is, it's better not to be shot at all. We're shooting another Panzer 5.4 because they are, as they say, ubiquitous these days. Kein Deutschland sniper. That's really unfortunate. And we got one tank left. You know, here we were shooting straight at the front. I actually have had a bad couple of days in World of Tanks, just with the number of losses I've taken, so I have no patience for bouncing shots. And here I am just cheesing it straight to the end. I'm not going to pretend. This game was bought and purchased with premium ammunition. There we have it. Pretty solid. 8330, 7 tanks destroyed. We've got your Ace Mastery Badge, Steel Wall, Top Gun, 3214 damage. Pretty nice. Bounced 600. I mean, bouncing 600 is more than bouncing most of pretty much any tier 5 medium tank. Probably most tier 5 heavy tanks for that matter. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, but this tank is ridiculous. Moving on, we're going to go to the sad panda story of this group. This is the Girls in Panzer 4 Aus H. I have had this tank since I won it way back in the early days of the PlayStation 4 World of Tanks launch. At that point, this tank was only earnable, and after you earned it, it didn't do you a lot of favors. It didn't give you extra HP, it didn't give you extra gold, it didn't give you extra crew experience. So really, if you were getting it, you were just getting it for the sake of having the tank, which was actually nice because, I mean, it's a free tank. What are you gonna do? Panzer 4 is a pretty average tier 5 medium tank, and this is an exact copy of that tank using the same 7.5 millimeter KWK 40L48. This one I think has the best turret armor. I think up front you're looking at about 80 centimeters or 80 millimeters. I don't know, whatever. But here we go. Getting started here, taking up a position on the hill again. Always fighting for that high ground because apparently watch too many Star Wars films. Really probably doing some bad things for this T-14. He is not going to have a good game here, and that is largely my fault. That I am shooting premium at him is not helping, but as long as you're aiming at the upper half of that front plate, the standard ammunition has a pretty good chance of going through, particularly when we're shooting down on him like we are. So I think he probably has almost a 0 game, and I take him out at the end. Here we were thinking about going down and trying to mess with that Churchill, but a couple of guys pop up. We don't have really a shot there. Here's another Panzer 5.4. Like I said, the ubiquitous Panzer 5.4. They are all over the place. Somebody's sneaking up on me. Got to get rid of him. And now we got this KV-1 that we can finally shoot. I mean, at this point, I actually felt really good about this game, but the whole thing is just going to go to crap and I'm going to make some pretty bad plays by the end of this game. All three of these tanks are incredibly difficult to get a mastery on. You're having to go well above 1,500 damage, which is enough to kill 2 or 3 of them, depending on which tank you're looking at. Sometimes, I mean, I've gotten 1,800 points of damage in this and 4 or 5 kills, and I have just not been able to get past first class in the girls and Panzer. But, you know, what are you going to do? Spoiler alert, I do get it here. But I guess that's not really a surprise. So I'm in a lot of trouble here. Lost our gunner there for a minute. Now we have to play smart because we want to keep our gun in the game, but we don't. I mean, we don't want to get shot, which is the same thing. We want to keep our gun in the game. We're wondering if this 5-4 realizes what we're doing. It turns out he doesn't. So we're going to go ahead and try to force multiply on this Churchill. We're still shooting plenty of premiums because we're just cheesing the hell out of all of this. I'm kind of hoping that this 5-4 does one thing or the other. I don't like the way it's peeking right now, because driving up behind him is going to leave me in a place where I don't have fire support. Now he realizes I'm swinging around to his side. I have to play this pretty smart. Panzer 5-4, like I said, doesn't have great gun depression, so actually he doesn't have a great shot on me. And as you can see, even when I get my shot in there at the end, his barrel was definitely still aimed well above me. If I was a little bit more prideful than I actually am, I would probably delete this part of the replay, because what's going to happen is I'm going to go up here, I'm going to look around, and I'm going to think, oh, well, maybe once my binocs get up, maybe I'll be able to see somebody. Maybe I'll be able to help, you know, the heavy tank that's left. I think it's a 30-0 something. Not a great shot. And then I'm realizing, you know, I might not be the only person who has no hit points in this. So I look over to him. Oh, man, I better go down there. Here we go. Gonna cheese this a little more, I think. But the truth is, I'm not gonna get another shot off because the AT-2 pretty much forces my hand. I did press the trigger, but I guess I didn't get the shot off. Anyway, I was pretty well dead, whether or not you give me that last 100 points of damage or not. There you go. 2,519 points of damage. The mastery badge. We got a sniper, Top Gun, not Top Gun, whatever. Doesn't matter. There we are at the top of the list. Our efficiencies are coming up next. Did not hit that many tanks this game. Usually I hit a lot of tanks, but this time I had a short reach. Last tank we're looking at, though, is the Panzer IV Hydrostat. This has kind of the neat back end to it. It makes me feel like I'm in a race car. The speed doesn't, though. This one's a little bit faster than the Panzer IV GuP that we were just in. You can see one off to our left there. The GuP has better armor than this. It has 80 millimeters on the front. This has 50, which means you tend to get penetrated quite a bit in this tank. What this tank does seem to have is some pretty ridiculously good gun depression and a deceptively difficult to penetrate cupola. It looks like it has the same turret, but for some reason all of the armor on this tank is around the tank commander. That works out all right when you're peeking over a ridgeline. It's not really that great, because if anybody gets even a little bit lucky, they'll go straight through the front of your turret. I'm not even sure it's luck. 50 millimeters isn't a lot for tier 5, but it has the same solid gun handling as the other 7.5 centimeter guns. As you can see, we're having a pretty easy time getting through most people's armor, and we aren't cheesing this up too bad so far. We've been shooting 8P, it looks like. This tank is another tank that's extraordinarily hard to get a mastery badge on. I think that the people who play it tend to be pretty good at what they do. We blow up our counterpart on the other team. Very excited about that. I don't understand these Defiances. They seem to have quite a bit of armor compared to their tier 4 counterparts. And I don't know if that's just that I'm unlucky or if it's actually reality, but, you know, whatever. We put a couple of good shots into him there. No premium used in that case. Auto aim serves us well. And again. Not too greedy with the kill there on the Defiance. We prefer not to expose ourselves to further damage. Instead, we're going to continue to press this front forward. 4 kills, pretty solid. I would say, all in all, this tank is pretty outstanding. I didn't purchase one because I just thought it was going to be another Girls and Panzer, and if I already had one, why do I need it? The truth is, this tank gets 100 extra hit points, and the Panzer IV is sometimes called the flat Panzer because the front of it is completely flat. And you know, if you have 80 millimeters of armor or 50, you're pretty much looking at a similar amount of just getting shot by everything. So why not take the extra 100 hit points? For some reason, it seems to be just enough to keep you in the game. This tank also gets premium matchmaking, which I can't explain at all. Same gun, less armor, more hit points. If you're looking at a tier 5 German premium tank, I would highly suggest considering this because you can get a discount on it if you finish the last war story that just came out. I've had a lot of fun in this. Would I consider this tank or the 5.4? Honestly, this tank is more fair. You can have plenty of fun in both of them. The GuP is alright too. It's basically just a tech tree tank. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. I will see you on the next one.